Hello, and this is Sharif Abdullah, and here we go with another broadcast on the view from the inside of the chrysalis. Um, our society is transforming. We're transforming from the caterpillar to the butterfly. This is a profound transformation. Everything that we expect turns to something else. And in this process of turning to something else, I'm going to, I started to say, I'm going to guide you through this process, but nobody's been through this process yet. And so, therefore, it's not a whole lot of guiding I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing some suggesting some things, and I'm going to be uh, presenting some things to you that we can talk about. Um, I am going to, as you know, in our prior sessions, I'm going to do a very short 2-minute meditation, and I'm going to set my little timer for this. Um, and I am going to, before I do that, suggest to um, my guest who is holding fort right now to dump out and come back, and that should get us back in sync with each other. Um, so, um, so in the meantime, and my technology is doing whatever it feels like doing right now. Um, in the meantime, I am going to set my timer and start our meditation. Um, and as usual, I have a banner running under the meditation. And for those of you who don't want to close your eyes, but I'm going to close my eyes and invite you to relax. Invite you to be calm. Invite you to take a nice deep breath and let it out. Invite you to take another deep breath. And with this one, let it out with a sigh. Find yourself centered in this space of no thought. You are not your thoughts. You are not the things that happen to you. You are centered and aware. And as it's right, bring yourself back to center and open your eyes, and let's begin. Okay. As I told you earlier that I have a guest for this session, and I think I have a guest for this session. We're having an audio issue. And I am going to ask my daughter, Khadija Abdullah, also known as Mama Seven, whether you can hear me or not. And can you hear me? Okay, so she can't hear me. Um, So I'm going to ask you to dump out of the call and come back in. We'll see if, okay, I'm going to dump her out of the call. Um, and I'm going to do the, um, I'm going to do an introduction for her as she comes back on the call. I hope that she comes back on the call. Um, Khadija my eldest daughter, and her spiritual name is Mama Seven. She's a spiritualist with her knowledge rooted in Islam, Taoism, Ife, Vodun, Christianity, Kabbalah, and quite a few other uh, wisdom teachings and practice modes. She's been involved in ritual for all of her adult life, focusing on mental health exercises and indigenous rituals. Um, she's founded her own organization called A Wonderful Approach. This fosters um, spiritually based healings and uh, so she's been traveling for the past 10 years nationally, focused in this country, educating people on the benefit of developing ancestral reverence.
Hey.
And it looks like we've got sound and picture here. So what a concept. I just did a glowing a
Ah,
introduction to you that you didn't hear.
how wonderful.
So yes, why not? So the benefits of live video.
Hey.
Um, so let me ask a question. I've already talked about you having this basis in your own spirituality from lots of different sources:
Yes.
Islam, Taoism, Ife,
Yes.
Vodun, Christianity, and more.
Absolutely.
How do you deal with that? How do you integrate that? How do you make that happen?
Well, America's the melting pot. We are built to melt. We're built to adapt. We're built to grow. And so
Well, this is what I've been concerned about.
our
She
understanding.
just doesn't have a strong connection, and so we're going to make this happen as well as we can through this week connection. So
Okay.
continue on.
Okay. So the building and the melding and the growth is a very natural process to being a spiritualist. Spirituality is in all of the religions, and so it's very understandable. We have spiritual Christians, we have spiritual Buddhists, we have spirituality is a part of all of the religions. So to be a spiritualist and to build and pull from all these religions just give us different insight into God. We have different aspects that we get to address in different ways and modes. And what you find is that each of us, as spiritual beings, will have a connection to one ritual, one aspect, one religion. It'll speak to you. You'll have dreams about it. When you get there and you're like, man, I feel like I'm home, that's because there's a part of you that is directly connected to this culture or this way of expressing spirituality and expressing your love and reverence and respect for God.
Well, I found that true around the world. I've been in 45 different countries, and that means I've been in 45 different spiritual, well, a lot more than that, because each country has 3 or 4 different spiritual expressions.
Yes.
And Some of them are pretty darn empty. I really call them religions. I mean, they're going through the motions, but a
Right.
lot of them have a spiritual depth, and um, they play with different levels of that depth. Now,
Mhm.
in our society, many of us, many of the people on this call right now, have a sense of that multidimensionality that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Um, they'll go to church on Sunday, but they'll also be doing yoga, and then they'll be doing somebody else's practice. And every once in a while, they throw in some transcendental work, and so they're doing all this stuff, you know.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and seeming to find a way of doing that where they're not experiencing conflict, they're actually um, embracing a larger whole.
Absolutely. And I encourage that. I encourage people go and experience that. We travel. One of the reasons why we travel is not to spread our word, but also to experience other people and other traditions. And so when you're out there experiencing, see, spirituality is an experience. It's not really something you can read in a book. You can read about other people's experience, but spirituality itself is definitely about experiencing and having those encounters with God, having that encounter with spirit. And so we are going from place to place to encounter and to have these experiences and to share with others, hey, do you realize that this is a way that you can get closer to God? Spending time in nature, being part of indigenous ritual, allowing yourself.
And there she goes again. So I'm going to be asking another question, which you probably can't hear right now, so I have to ask it again.
Mhm.
Um, what is, we talk about, you're talking about indigenous wisdom, and our larger society here, have accepted some parts of that.
Mhm.
Lots of folks have done either Native American rituals or
Right.
Native American based rituals. Okay,
Right.
they do sweat lodges or whatever. Um, but there seems to be a bit of a gap and also we'll do Asian rituals.
Mhm.
Okay, but it seems to be a gap when it comes to some of the African spirituality. We actually
There,
have negative ideas and negative connotation around
there
um,
is.
a lot of the African spirituality. So
I,
so how do you see that, and what's the
there's
answer to that? You know,
there's
what's the response?
almost there's almost an intentional um effort to make the African traditional religions spooky. It seems like, Hollywood has gone out of its way to make it this, ooh, and it doesn't have to be that. Being young, brought up in culture, being around a lot of different experiences, I've never had.
Okay. Again, we're going to pick up her thought right when and where
And
where it left off. You're
right,
saying that growing up around this, you didn't
yeah,
have any negative experience. Yeah.
no, 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 and it doesn't have to be spooky. I strongly encourage people, please go and experience. Like my children.
Okay. Again, we're having some technical difficulties, and we're trying to talk around those difficulties.
Okay.
Uh, so you're talking about your children,
Yes, they've
who
been
happen
going
to
to
be
power.
my grandchildren. Okay.
Yes, they've been going to powwow since they were about 3 or 4, and so
Hmm.
they already know the culture, the experience. I believe in the African traditional religions. We're just getting to the point where people feel free enough to encounter and to come, even if they aren't in the culture. You don't
Hmm.
have to be part of the culture to experience it and to have enjoy it and to learn about it. But it does take exposure. We got to be able
Mhm.
to see what we're doing. And that's now you're seeing a lot more rituals videotapes. You're seeing a lot
Mhm.
more videos, you know,
Okay, now I get to sneak another question in here. You're saying that people have the opportunity to experience for themselves,
mm-hmm,
but um, I guess how comfortable would I be in an African centric ritual
mm-hmm.
if I'm you know European based? I mean,
So
where's the welcome?
well, the welcome, well, with a wonderful approach, the welcome is pretty big. I believe in doing very public events. Next weekend, we're having this big public baptism in Beaufort, South Carolina. And I'm expecting, last year we had about 50 people come. The year before that, I think we had like 60, 65 people come. And some people travel great lengths to be there, and some people just happened to be at the water that day. And they were like, we just knew to come and we're here. Can we pray with you? And we're like, absolutely. And so we have people that welcome them in. That's their job. You know, one sister sits with the elders, the other one sits with the families, and they are whispering, explaining, okay, she's doing this. Oh, this is that purpose. Um, the seventh, the day after.
Okay. What you're describing is something that I've experienced in many places around the world. I'm thinking in particular right now
The seventh.
about being in Bali,
Mm-hmm,
where I'm invited to um, a spiritual activity, and
mm-hmm.
there's someone there like, okay, sit over here, don't
Mm-hmm.
sit over here, this don't sit on that side,
Yes,
sit on this side. um
yes,
and the red flower goes behind your right ear and the white flower goes behind
yes,
your left ear. And I'm like,
yes,
okay, are my ears okay, you know?
yes,
And
yes,
once you know that there's a number of people around you that won't let you
yes,
um, get screwed up, you know.
yes.
Um, and then you can be comfortable.
Yes.
But without that, I tell you, I feel like an interloper, you know,
Uh,
like, okay, you know,
mhm.
he's here taking notes and he's spying on us, you know. So yeah, so
I
the idea of having people that will welcome you, I mean, that's a double plus. Yeah.
yes. Um, and I'm not the only one. There are a lot
Mhm,
of spiritualists, spiritual head of households, priests and priestesses that are saying, "Hey, more than just my people need these rituals. Everyone needs
mhm,
the rituals. Everyone needs healing. Everyone needs cleansing. There's some things, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, you need this. No matter who
mhm,
you are, where you come from, you have ancestors. And
mhm,
having this connection with them and learning about them and teaching the children about them has so many benefits. So that's not just for anyone, is actually for everyone. And so there are a lot more people, particularly in the ATRs, that are coming forwards and saying, hey, let's try this. Let me invite you. The
mhm.
beginners stand here and they do have etiquette, and anyone that goes with me, they know that Mama Seven has etiquette classes because I'm not going to have you going to grandma's house begging for stuff and touching her knickknacks.
Mhm. Okay. So, is there a way that people can stay in contact with you, find out more about a wonderful approach? How do you do that?
How do you do that? You can go online, everything's online. You can go to a wonderfulapproach.com
Mhm,
and you'll see, some pictures from past events, and you'll also see upcoming events. We
mhm,
do retreat workshops. Lots and lots of ritual guided meditations, all of these experiences to give you an opportunity to kind of see what's out there and
Okay, well, see what's out there and have more of an experience. Um, and that's a www, a wonderfulapproach.com.
yes.
Um, and see, kind of what works for you. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, I've I had a question from last week that I was going to respond to this from last session. That I'm going to respond to this session, and I thought maybe you might have some insight into this. And
Absolutely.
so let me. I'm going to answer it first, okay?
Okay.
And then see if you have anything you want to add to it.
Okay.
Um, so let me do this. And this is from AWA collaboration that I found out was friend and co-collaborator Lorna Shaw in England. And she says, isn't one of the problems of postmodern life that there's no one truth, but many truths? How do people decide what to believe? Well, I think that there aren't many truths. I think there is a truth. And I think there may be many interpretations to that truth, but what the folks in what we call the postmodern era, a lot of that is my own ego belief that I've elevated to the level of a truth, and it's not. When we want to find our path and we want to find our connection, we've got to get out of that ego and
Absolutely.
get into a more connected space. So I don't know if you've got anything that you want to add or even contradict, but watch the contradiction because this software has buttons that say eject, ban, which means you'll never be back again. Um, so let's see how this works. Um, so what is your thought on this?
One God. Um, and everyone will have their own personal relationship with that God, with that understanding. And so, as each person has their own relationship, their own experience with God, they will begin to think there's a difference between my God and your God. And there's not a difference between mine and yours, there's only a difference in relationship. Our relationship, you and I's relationship, is very different because you are the parental unit, okay? And so, even if I disagree, the disagreement is going to come with a certain level of respect as a parental unit. Um, I can disagree with anybody and I don't have to be as considerate or anything else. That's a difference in a relationship. And so God encourages us in every religion and culture to have that relationship. And as we allow other people the opportunity to have their own relationship, and we focus on ours, then we don't have to have that conflict. We don't have to worry about the multiple understandings. There's only your understanding. That this is you have one life. You are the only one interpreting this experience, and other people may guide you, but it is absolutely your interpretation, your understanding with God. So, there are people that would like to be lazy or slick and, well, I don't want to go to church every day, so my God says I don't have to do that. And that just shows spiritual immaturity. And so as you mature in your spiritual development, you'll begin to understand how one we really all are, and how other people's interpretation is really just an expression as to where they are in their spiritual maturity. And so That would be my answer and add to that.
Yeah, I no, I think that I didn't push the eject button. Um, I don't. I think that that's true. Again, we I think there are a lot of people who mistake their ego for their spirituality. Okay, and I think there are a lot of people who recognize that religion is this amazing grab for power. You know, if I'm speaking for God, then I become powerful. And it's not about power over. It's not about. It's about your relationship to the world. I'm watching our connection deteriorating, and before it gets to a particular point, I want to say thank you for coming. We were trying to tape this last night,
Yes.
okay, to avoid the glitchies,
Yes.
and I think we did a pretty good job, even despite the glitchies.
Awesome.
So, and hopefully, you may wish to come back at some point in time and
Absolutely.
uh,
This has been fun.
connection.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a better connection, yes. But this has been so much fun. We have these conversations all the time, and it
yeah. That let me continue your answer for you. We do have these conversations all the time, and that's what led to this. We're having some deep conversation, and I'm like, no, we're going to do this in front of some people. So this is the first level of that. So
yeah,
thank you, blessings, and we will talk at another point.
absolutely.
Okay, so we are these half hours are going really, really fast. Okay, let me give you a couple of points, and then um, we'll have to say goodbye. So I mentioned last time that I had a survey that I would like to give you. It's not done yet, but this survey is about this process here. I noticed that while there are a number of people who are online, and then a larger number will get online with the recording. Um, Not as many of you leave a like, and not as many of you have subscribed. And all of the streaming services look at how many people are subscribed to your broadcast, how many people have actually liked your you could say wonderful things to me in the comments, etc. uh, but that doesn't count. What counts is that you actually hit the like button. Okay, so if you can hit the like button, if you can subscribe, that would all be good stuff. Um, do you want this to happen at a different time? A number of you said, well, 9 a.m. Pacific is an inconvenient time. It's an inconvenient time for me. Those of you who know me know I don't. I tend to be sleep around this time. So if you can, uh, when I have the survey ready, if you can respond to the survey, I would appreciate it. Um, we will have another segment on Monday that will probably be on practicalities or current events. I'm trying to get these, kind of stratified so that we're dealing more with spiritual matters on um, Fridays. Um, it's all the same thing. And I want to make sure that we don't stay too long in politics or too long in practicality or too long in spirituality, because we need to mix all of it together. Thank you, thank you, thank you for attending. Thank all of you who can't attend live but are attending through the recording. I try to answer questions that have come through YouTube even after the recording. Sorry, but I can't figure out how to get the questions from Facebook or LinkedIn. That will come at some other point in time. But thank you for attending. If you liked it, leave a like. And I look forward to seeing you again on Monday. So blessings, and I will talk to you at another point in time.